The Biden administration is now telling U.S. ports to prepare for cyber attacks. They say that our critical infrastructure is being targeted and these U.S. ports must prepare now. Now, I want to address what's going on, why the Biden administration is coming out and saying this now, but also address the concerns that we faced in the past and situations that we have already lived through, and why the Biden administration says we cannot go through this again. So, I'm going to break that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So we have been hearing for years that Chinese firms and Chinese software can easily be hacked and manipulated. And this is software that runs some of the cranes in our US ports. But I want you to read this. This is from CNBC, and it says, the Biden administration, US ports prep for cyber attacks as nationwide infrastructure is targeted. But I want to read these key points, and I want to point out one thing in here. So don't worry about the yellow writing. Let's read it from key point number 1. It says U.S. physical infrastructure is increasingly the target of hacks, with Google's cybersecurity firm Mandiant releasing a report Wednesday teasing out links between Russian hackers and a January attack on a water filtration plant in a small Texas town. Now, I want to be very clear on something. If you want some boring reading, go and read this Google cybersecurity report from Mandiant, okay? It's about, I think it's like 30 or 40 pages long. It's a boring read. I know because I read it. Now, with that said, there are a lot of concerns. The Pentagon's concerned, the FBI is concerned, Homeland Security is extremely concerned, and all of us should be as well. I want to keep reading this and I'll get to why. It says the nation's largest ports are also at risk, and Biden administration cybersecurity officers and key port executives held a call on Wednesday to discuss security issues, including the Chinese-made cranes that have received government scrutiny this year. That's a big one. These are Chinese-made cranes, and some of the systems that they use were created and made in China. That's a problem. That is a massive problem, because this is likely one of the reasons why China is so embedded in our infrastructure, because we use so much of their technology. And this is something that many lawmakers have said we need to move away from. Let's read one last thing. And the third key point, it says, more needs to be done across the ports and supply chain. This is according to Gene Soroka, who's the executive director for the Port of Los Angeles, who noted in 2023, the port stopped 750 million hacking attempts. I want to be very clear on that, and there's a reason why I highlighted that. I believe the 750 million hacking attempts is completely off. It's 750, not million. 750 million is a lot of hacking attempts. There were not that many. I want to read you one other thing. It says a top Biden security official urged the nation's ports in a joint call on Wednesday, which is today, to have their data encrypted, repeatedly patch any vulnerabilities in critical systems, and have a well-trained cyber team as hacks targeting key U.S. infrastructure increase. That is something that we need to do. We have to be prepared. So again, saying have your data encrypted, repeatedly patch any vulnerabilities, of course. But just understand, the United States, even though we're being warned, we're not ready. This article from The Hill says terrifying hacks on critical infrastructure have arrived. America isn't ready. Well, we have not been ready for a long time. This is something that we've known about for years, for decades, that we are a sitting duck. Look at this article as well. It's from NBC News, and it says Chinese hackers spent 5 years waiting in U.S. infrastructure, ready to attack, agencies say. This is something that we learned from the FBI Director Christopher Wray. We've learned this from multiple officials as well in the Biden administration, that they have found Chinese hackers just waiting. They've been embedded in our systems for years, not triggering anything, not trying to get noticed, but they've just been there. Now, The reason why all this is so important is because of a couple things. First off, when we ship an item and it gets tracked, let's say the shipping container that's in, we know what's in that container, okay? And if you know what's in that container because it's already written on, inside the system, well, what if Chinese hackers decide they want to send, military equipment from one location to a completely different country? Not even going to send it to the actual port that's supposed to go to. They could do that. This would hurt us. Another thing that could hurt us is having to do with inflation. And I want to show you something else. This is another article from CNBC. It says imports from China to the US are rising at the fastest rate since last fall. We are seeing Chinese imports going up. We are buying more items from China than ever before. These are some items that we absolutely need, are critical to just things that we build, right? Machinery. It could be cars, it could be stuff for your vacuum, it could be pieces to a desk, whatever it may be. These could be things that we absolutely need. And now we're seeing the imports increase. Well, this would be a devastating time if all of a sudden we saw the Chinese cranes just stop. They just stopped working. We could not offload anything. China already sent everything to the US, and now it sits there on the ports. That would be devastating. But look at this, because again, this is all just the beginning. This one says, Pentagon sees giant cargo cranes as possible Chinese spying tools. Like I said, if we have certain items going from one location to another, and it's in the system, what is in that cargo, that big shipment? Well, if China decides, you know what, they don't need this equipment, they don't need this military equipment, they don't need these weapons, they don't need, potentially food or whatever from another country, we're just going to stop it here. We're going to send it to a different location. Screw them all up, right? We also see military equipment go from the United States, let's say, to another country. And again, we're not seeing a big old thing of guns going from the port of Los Angeles or port of Oakland to Ukraine, right? That's probably not what we're seeing. But if China were to see that, or sees we're sending stuff to Taiwan or the Philippines, China might be a little bit concerned, and maybe there's delays there. But as we see delays in some of this stuff, what's going to happen is we are actually going to see the supply chain get disrupted, and then we'll see prices go up. This is one of the reasons why supply chains are the key to fighting inflation. Because if for some reason our supply chain sees a massive disruption, prices are going to increase. Well, even though the United States and multiple lawmakers believe China is spying on us, they continue to use the same cranes, the same systems, and nothing's changed. But I want to show you this. It says Chinese crane firm denies posing security risk at U.S. ports amid investigation. No, there's no security risk here. They're not concerned with that. What they say is they're just doing what they were asked to do. Build the system, supply the crane, and that's it. But I want to show you one other thing, okay? And this is what I want to show you. It says state-linked hackers attacking U.S. physical operations. It says foreign hackers are increasingly targeting U.S. infrastructure across vital services, from transportation to food, supply, and healthcare. In February, the FBI warned Congress that Chinese hackers have burrowed deep into the United States cyber infrastructure in an attempt to cause damage. FBI Director Christopher Wray said Chinese government hackers are targeting water treatment plants, the electrical grid, transportation systems, and other critical infrastructure inside the U.S. It doesn't matter where you live in the U.S. Honestly, it doesn't matter where you live in the world. If you get items from the United States and the United States gets backed up, or we see supply chain disruptions, well, it's going to impact you as well. And if you are here in the United States, we can't afford supply chain disruptions, especially to cyber attacks. This is something that could really cripple the United States. This could hurt our economy, and this could mean delays moving forward. So here's what I can tell you. Just prepare for cyber attacks. They may not be the biggest cyber attack in the world. It may not shut down the entire electrical grid all over the United States, but even if it shuts down just a handful of locations, a major city, it shuts down a port. This is massive, and this could actually create a ripple effect all over the United States. So the Biden administration says we need to prepare for a cyber attack, and they're already telling U.S. ports to do so. So my best guess is they are anticipating a cyber attack very soon. So we'll see what happens. All I can tell you is I'll be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.